Nephilim, were they truly the offspring of angels and humans? Part 1. The opening, planting the seed of mystery. Under the gentle flickering glow of candlelight, ancient texts whisper secrets across the ages, inviting us to peer into the shadows of forgotten histories. Tonight, we dare to ask a question that has haunted scholars and believers for millennia. Who, or what, were the Nephilim? Were they merely the exaggerated figures of an ancient myth? Or do they represent a profound, almost unsettling, intersection between the divine and the human? The very mention of their name evokes a sense of primordial awe, a chilling echo from a time when the boundaries of our world seemed far more porous, and the unseen forces of the cosmos exerted a more tangible influence. Join us as we embark on a contemplative journey to unearth the truth behind these enigmatic giants, to decipher the cryptic clues left within sacred texts, and to ponder the implications of their existence for our understanding of humanity's earliest chapters. Part 2. The Deeper Exploration. A Journey of Discovery. A. The Historical and Cultural Context, Genesis and the Great Flood. To truly grasp the mystery of the Nephilim, we must first transport ourselves to the dawn of civilization, to a world vastly different from our own. The narrative of the Nephilim is primarily found in Genesis 6:1-4, a passage that precedes the account of the Great Flood. This placement is crucial. Before the deluge that cleansed the earth, humanity was marked by a pervasive wickedness, described as every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6-5. It was within this period of rampant moral decay that the Nephilim are introduced, almost as a symptom or a catalyst for the escalating corruption that ultimately led to divine judgment. Ancient Near Eastern cultures, from which the Israelite narrative emerged, were replete with stories of gods interacting with mortals, producing heroic or monstrous offspring. Myths from Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Ugarit often depicted demigods and beings of unusual power resulting from such unions. While distinct, the Genesis account resonates with this ancient cultural milieu, providing a unique Israelite theological lens on similar phenomena. It speaks to a profound anxiety about the corruption of creation, not just through human sin, but potentially through a transgression of cosmic boundaries. The story of the Nephilim, therefore, isn't just a standalone curiosity. It's intricately woven into the fabric of a world hurtling towards catastrophe, a world where the very order of creation was being challenged. B. Decoding the Scripture. Sons of God and daughters of man. The primary biblical text referring to the Nephilim is Genesis 6:1-4. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The core of the debate lies in the interpretation of sons of God Hebrew, Bnei Elohim, and daughters of humans Hebrew, Binat Ha'adam. Interpretation 1. The angelic-human hybrid view. This is the most dramatic and widely discussed interpretation, positing that sons of God refers to fallen angels. Proponents argue that the phrase Bnei Elohim is used elsewhere in the Old Testament to refer to celestial beings, Job 1-6, 2-1, 38-7, Psalm 29-1, 89-6. These angels, driven by lust, descended to earth, took human women as wives, and produced a monstrous offspring, the Nephilim, meaning fallen ones or giants. This view is significantly bolstered by extra-biblical texts like the Book of Enoch, which explicitly identifies the Watchers, fallen angels, as the fathers of the Nephilim. The Nephilim are described as heroes of old, men of renown, suggesting beings of extraordinary size, strength, and perhaps even malevolent influence, whose existence was a stark deviation from the divine order. Interpretation 2. The Sethite line view. This more traditional rabbinic and Christian interpretation suggests that sons of God refers to the righteous descendants of Seth, while daughters of humans refers to the wicked descendants of Cain. According to this view, the mingling of these two lines, the godly with the ungodly, led to widespread corruption, prompting God's judgment. The Nephilim, in this context, would be the result of these mixed marriages, but not necessarily supernatural beings. They would simply be powerful, tyrannical individuals who emerged from a degenerate society. This interpretation avoids the theological complexities of angels procreating with humans, focusing instead on the dangers of spiritual compromise. Interpretation 3. The royal dynasty's view. A less common but intriguing interpretation suggests that sons of God refers to powerful kings or tyrannical rulers who, in their hubris, claim divine status. These rulers would take many wives and establish mighty, oppressive dynasties. The Nephilim would then be their powerful, dominant offspring, men of renown in their earthly might but ultimately contributing to the wickedness of the age. This view connects the passage to broader ancient Near Eastern patterns of deified kingship. The scripture itself is tantalizingly brief, offering just enough detail to spark profound questions, yet withholding the explicit explanations we crave. It demands a careful consideration of linguistic nuances and historical context. C. The hidden theological meaning, transgression, and the order of creation. Beyond the literal interpretation, the story of the Nephilim carries profound theological weight. If the angelic-human hybrid view is correct, it speaks to an audacious act of cosmic transgression. Angels, beings created to serve God, deliberately rebelled against their nature and divine command, blurring the divinely ordained boundaries between heaven and earth, spirit and flesh. This act would represent a profound defilement of creation, an attempt to introduce an unnatural order that fundamentally challenged God's sovereignty and the integrity of human lineage. It underscores the destructive power of rebellion and the consequences of violating established boundaries. Even if the Sethite view is preferred, the theological implications remain significant. It highlights the dangers of spiritual compromise, where the righteous abandon their calling and succumb to the allure of worldly wickedness. In both interpretations, the Nephilim narrative serves as a stark reminder of the ever-present threat of corruption, both from external spiritual forces and internal human failings. It explains why the world became so utterly depraved that God found it necessary to reset creation through the flood. It underscores God's commitment to purity and order and his ultimate power to judge and restore. The Nephilim, in essence, represent a failed experiment, an aberration that had to be purged for humanity to have a fresh start. D. Controversies and enduring theories. The debate surrounding the Nephilim is far from settled, and it continues to be a point of fascination and contention among scholars and theologians. The problem of angelic procreation, a significant challenge to the angelic-human hybrid view, comes from Matthew 22:30, where Jesus states that in the resurrection people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. This passage is often cited to argue that angels do not engage in sexual reproduction, thus making the Nephilim a biological impossibility. However, proponents of the angelic view counter that Jesus' statement refers to angels in heaven in their glorified state, not necessarily to fallen angels who have rebelled and potentially adopted different capabilities or forms for their transgression. The silence of later scripture. While the Nephilim are briefly mentioned again in Numbers 13:33, where the Israelite spies report seeing giants, the Anakim, who come from the Nephilim in Canaan, later biblical texts do not elaborate extensively on their origins or nature. This relative silence leads some to question the significance of the Genesis 6 account, suggesting it might be a localized myth or a poetic description rather than a literal historical event. The influence of the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch, a non-canonical Jewish text, offers a highly detailed and vivid account of the fallen angels, watchers, and their offspring, the Nephilim. While not accepted into the Protestant or Catholic canon, its influence on early Jewish and Christian thought was considerable. Many early church fathers accepted the angelic view of Genesis 6, largely due to Enoch's elaboration. However, its non-canonical status means its specific details are not universally accepted as authoritative. Modern interpretations and speculation. In contemporary discussions, the Nephilim have become fodder for various speculative theories, from alien visitations to ancient advanced civilizations. While compelling, such theories often stray far from the theological and historical context of the biblical text, imposing modern frameworks onto ancient narratives. Our focus remains rooted in the text's original intent and the historical interpretations within the Abrahamic tradition. The Nephilim stand as a testament to the complexities within biblical scholarship, inviting us to grapple with texts that challenge our contemporary worldview and expand our understanding of the divine drama playing out across creation. Part 3. The Conclusion. Eternal Echoes. We began our journey questioning the very nature of the Nephilim, and while definitive, universally accepted answers remain elusive, we have traversed the terrain of ancient texts, theological debates, and profound questions. We have seen how the enigmatic sons of God and daughters of humans produced beings of extraordinary repute, whether through supernatural union or societal corruption. The Nephilim, regardless of their precise biological origin, represent a potent symbol of transgression, of boundaries crossed, and of a world veering dangerously off its divine course. Their story, nestled just before the cleansing flood, serves as a powerful preamble to God's judgment and his subsequent covenant with Noah, emphasizing the gravity of sin and the necessity of divine intervention. And so, as the last flicker of candlelight dances upon these ancient words, we are left not with simple answers, but with a deeper, more profound sense of wonder. The Nephilim compel us to consider the unseen forces that may have shaped our earliest history, the ongoing struggle between good and evil, and the ultimate sovereignty of a creator who maintains order even in the face of chaos. Perhaps the true mystery of the Nephilim is not merely who they were, but what their story teaches us about the fragility of creation, the consequences of rebellion, and the enduring power of divine love and justice that continues to echo through the corridors of time.